Hey, what's up everybody? If you've been following along with the build videos so far, you know what's coming next. That's going to be the floors. We're going to put a beautiful epoxy with a nice flake floor on this. But first thing we need to do is we need to go through some prep work. All right. The biggest successes that I've seen for epoxy flooring and something that's going to last you a long time is all in the prep work. So we're going to spend almost an entire day of doing nothing but prepping the concrete, getting it ready. That way when we put our epoxy down, it's going down on something really nice, really clean, and I'm going to get a solid bond. So today I'm going to be using a large handheld diamond grinder. I'm going to grind off the whole top surface of this concrete. I'm also going to take a handheld grinder. I'm going to hit all the seams, all the joints, clean up all those joints really well. That way I can get it ready for filler and caulk, and I'll cover that in a little bit later. But let me show you what grinder I picked up. So this is a grinder I picked up right here. This is a large concrete grinder, and what does all the work and all the muscle here is these guys right here. These are going to be your diamond blades. So this is what's doing all the cutting into the concrete. Pretty much all you're doing is just taking off that top layer, because your top layer contains all this stuff, right? And if you go to put your epoxy over this, your epoxy is going to bond, not well, but it'll bond to you know, whatever's on the surface, right? So if this paint decides to chip up or whatever, your epoxy is coming right with it. If you drive your car in here and it kind of pulls on that paint, your epoxy is going to come right up with it. So what you want is you want just bare concrete, right? So what I'm going to do, since I have so much to do, as you can tell, there's a ton of paint. My painters were, man, I probably fired them about 4 or 5 times, but they kept coming back because they were telling me that they live here and, you know, Dad, you can't fire us. I told them, yes, I can fire you for sure. But they kept coming back, right? So all of this paint and grease and all these extra little stains and everything like that. So that's what this bad boy is going to be used for. Is getting that whole top layer done. Now, for all the seams and all the joints and cracks and everything, I'm going to be using this guy. This is just a handheld 20 volt DeWalt grinder, diamond grinding wheel. concrete floor all cleaned up, all the dust and all the grime and everything off of it. Next step is going to be doing an acid etching. Okay, so we're going to be using one of the packets from our 2.5 car garage kit. It comes with 2 packets total. As you can tell, got my gloves on, got some eye protection on. Don't want any of this stuff touching my skin or getting in my eyes or anything. So per the instructions, it says that one of these covers a 10 by 10 area of concrete floor, and to mix it in a 2-gallon container, and it actually says like a watering pot, like for watering flowers, which is exactly what I got here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this mixed up, get it on the floor, start scrubbing it in, and then we'll go from there. Hey, what's up everybody? So the next step in our epoxy flooring process is going to be doing work for all the joints and all the cracks around the edges, filling those in, making it nice and clean, nice and flush. To do that, I'm going to be using this product right here. It was recommended by a couple of professionals online that do epoxy flooring as their actual job, their main profession. So this is called Big Stretch. It's a caulk and seal for windows, doors, and siding. From what I have seen, pretty awesome product. I've seen some great results. Pretty much what this allows the joint to do is it allows it to move and stretch both in and out without actually cracking out, which will crack out your epoxy. So since I have so many joints and everything in here, I got a whole case of it. But if you only have like a joint or two, you can probably get away with just a few bottles. Next thing I'm going to be using is just a standard caulk gun to broadcast the caulk. I'm going to use a box cutter. This is going to be used to cut the filler as well as cut the tips off the caulk tubes, standard stuff, and then a flathead screwdriver. So I'm just going to be using that to press in the filler for the joints, and that's the last thing I'm going to be using over here, which is this right here. Pretty much what this is it's like a foam material, and it's actually labeled as a joint filler. So what you do is you push this inside the joint. It fills up a good amount of the joint, so that way you're only having a small amount of caulk on top of it, so you're not using just cases and cases of caulk. Another thing this allows is some expansion and contraction of the joint too, without giving you a big crack out. So this stuff is pretty awesome. So I'm going to be putting this in all of my joints here throughout the garage. So that's a little bit about what we're using. Let's get started. Hey, what's up everybody? So we're back here on the last day. We're going to be getting our epoxy on our floor and wrap this project up. So what we're going to be using today is the Rust-Oleum epoxy shield. I got a 2.5 car garage kit, and I also got a 1 car garage kit. A couple other things that I'm going to be using today is just a standard Home Depot bucket. I got this attachment for my drill to help me kind of blend all the epoxies together, get a really consistent color to look great. Just a standard 2.5 inch brush. This is going to be for cutting in all the edges and doing all the cut in work, all the hard to reach places for a roller. I picked up these rollers here. They're called a Epoxy Glide by Wooster. They're supposed to be shed resistant and be a really nice nap for epoxy applications. So I got a couple of these just in case I'll need it, but I'm for sure at least going to be using one here today. And then just a standard roller. Another thing I'm going to be using today is some of these Color Flake paint chips. So what I did was I measured out based on what I have. I got a couple pounds, so what I did was I measured out to where I know 1 cup of these is going to be covering 1 square in my garage. That way I get a nice consistent flaking job. So definitely recommend doing that. Another thing I want to talk about before I get started is I did a lot of research, and I actually picked up a concrete primer that I was going to be putting down before my epoxy coat. And the reason why I went against it is I actually called Rust-Oleum. I talked to them on the phone for a long time. I told them the product that I had, and which was one of their products actually. And I told them what I was planning on doing, my process. And they actually said that because I diamond grinded my concrete and I acid etched, just putting the epoxy straight down onto the concrete is going to be a much better adhesion than adding another layer in there, kind of like the primer. So they recommended that I pick up a little bit more than what I think I'm going to need. So I went ahead and picked up an additional 1 car garage kit because they didn't have the individual cans of epoxies at my Home Depot here. So I picked up an additional kit so I can have enough product to get a good even coat on here. They did say that I'm going to use more product than normal, just because I did a diamond grind and I also acid etched my concrete. So my concrete's super open right now, and it's gonna suck up a good amount of product. So the directions, you wanna get a good even mix for 3 minutes, and then it says mix again before applying. So Hey, what's up everybody? So we're a couple days after putting down our epoxy flooring with our flake, and you know, one thing I wasn't really planning on, because I was like, I thought it would look good enough, and I thought it'd be durable enough, but I decided to go with the Epoxy Shield clear finish. All right, just as a kind of like a sealer for the epoxy. Put a nice top coat on this, put a really nice shine on it. One thing I realized is when you touch the floor, you can feel all the flakes all over the floor, right? And I want it to just be nice and smooth, because I can see kind of as I'm working in my workshop, you know, not pulling some chips up and kind of making it to where it's not looking so good in the future. So I want to tackle this right now while I got everything cleared out, and it's going to be pretty easy to put down. So went with the clear finish kit. I'm not going to go with any of the additives that they have in here, which are the anti-skid additive. You can put this down, mix it in however much you want, and it'll stop it from being like slippery per se. But I'm not going to put any of that in there. I like the really smooth and you know, slick surface. I think that's actually easier to clean, in my opinion. So I'm not going to be using that. And just like with the standard epoxy flooring kit that I used, they have another burst package here, which has a part A, part B. You burst, mix that up really well, and then you got about an hour to get it on. So got plenty of time there. A couple of the other things I'm going to be using today. I'm going to be using just a standard brush. This one's a 3-inch, and a little roller, just a small roller, and just a little roller pan. These are going to be for all my cutting in, all my my edges and corners, and all the hard to reach places that my roller can't necessarily get to. That moves on to the next thing. Is going to be a roller with an extension pole. Same stuff as I used to put on the epoxy flooring. I did add one of these guys to my bucket though. That way I can kind of control how much product is coming out of the bucket, and I can get a good consistent roller every time I come out. So this is what we're going to be using today. Pretty much we're just going to get a coat on. This says that it covers 400 to 500 square foot on coated floorings. So this being about that 400 square foot range, shouldn't be a problem. You should have a pretty good even coat and be good. So, all right, let's get this done. It came out super nice. I really like the end result. Couple things, just a couple tips and stuff that I learned along the way is one, get way more chips than you think you're gonna need, because I measured them out and everything, which was kind of close, but there was a couple sections where I kind of felt like I needed to put a little bit extra, because maybe there was a little imperfection in the concrete or something like that. So definitely get some extra chips. That'll go a long way. I hope you guys enjoyed the epoxy floor installation. This is it. This is the finished product.
Watching my dad's video, and the like button, subscribe.